It's good afternoon, Bill.
It is afternoon, Mark, and we did a very interesting podcast this morning, which our listeners will hear soon. I'm not sure when that one will go up.
Yep, with Andrew Jones from
G2
Innovation.
And his wife.
And his wife, Sian, talking about innovations, thinking,
Oh, yeah.
leadership. It was really interesting, interesting chat.
I found it good. And now we're actually sitting on a farm, I guess, for want of another word.
I've got the lovely view of the
a
paddock.
rural property. And situated within this property is an amazing facility, and it's a very large office, and it belongs to Cabinet by Computers. And so who are we talking to today, Mark?
So we've got the General Manager, Justin Collins. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah,
Really
good to
glad
be here, Justin.
Yeah.
And
good to have you back as well, Bill.
Oh, yes, we will preface all of this. We better have a quick explanation in that Justin and the business here has won the awards at the Geelong Business Awards. In fact, I'm looking at the table and I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, and plus another award that you've won over the last few years.
And Business of the Year last year in the Business Awards.
That's right. And then on top of that, Justin is now a judge on the Geelong Business Awards with you and I.
The cycle completes.
That's right. So we thought it'd be a good idea to come and interview Justin because it is a great business.
It is a good business. So, Justin, we always start with, where did you go to primary school?
Yeah, so I'm a Colac boy, so a country boy. Grew up an hour down the road. Went to Colac East Primary School for the duration, obviously. And then from there went on to Colac College, so did all my lower education there. Finished up and decided to pick up for 12 months and originally plan was at the end of my high school was pretty interested in law as a career path. And so, but before that also, 12, 13 years of education and a little bit sick of studying and learning and assignments and whatever. So took 12 months off and worked at a cheese factory of all places.
In Colac?
You're just outside of Colac. It's no longer there anymore, unfortunately, in a little town called Cororook.
Yep.
Very character building experience.
Well, that's interesting, Justin. We interviewed Xavier Prime from Chooks by the Rook, who was in Cororook.
There you go.
Yeah. And there's an old disused school down there, isn't there?
In Colac? Yeah, there was. I think it's been repurposed now for a special kind of a school. So, they did a big amalgamation of the two main public schools there and created a big, new, beautiful facility, amalgamated them. And, that one of the old schools' facilities has now been repurposed. So
there's some really good food businesses coming out of Colac.
Some good football players as well.
Yeah.
So while you were working in the cheese factory, what were you thinking? What was your desire? Did you know where you wanted to end up? Or?
No, not really. It was really interesting. Part of the reason I did it was to better afford doing university, but two, I wanted that chance to make sure that the path I was heading down was really the path I wanted to do. So my brother at the time was working at the same place, and so I got a job there. Did 12-hour shifts. Start at 6 o'clock at night, finish at 6 o'clock in the morning. So very character building. The first 4 weeks of it were...
Not good for going out.
No, not at all. The first 6 weeks of it were working in this tiny little room that was like a filtration system room. And it wasn't originally the job I got given, but I got gifted this position, and in a way it was a bit of a blessing in disguise because it taught me a lot about resilience, because my shifts involved going into this tiny little room, maybe 2 by 3 metres, and 2/3 of which were made up of a big filtration system. So this particular cheese factory I worked at did mozzarella. So I used to have big brine tanks that the blocks of mozzarella, a lot of it for export, would go into, and the water would get quite fatty and little bits of cheese, so that had to be filtered out. So filtration room, it was old filter system, it was run down. They were going to replace it, but they said, look, 6 or 8 weeks, we need you to come in here, and for 12 hours, I want you just every half an hour, pull out the big filter, hose it down, put it back in. So it was mind-numbing work. It was cold, wet. I had no one.
That was an intellectual stimulating job?
I had no one else in there with me.
So just yourself and thinking.
Yeah, I did a lot of thinking during that time. Did a lot of thinking about whether I wanted to keep at the job, but I think part of it, my parents encouraged me, there'll be an end in sight here, keep at it. And I probably have carried that lesson on with me a lot, is that things aren't always going to be as you expect them to be, but sometimes you just need to ride with the bumps and take a few punches. And, I got out of it probably 2 weeks earlier than they had said I would, which was good, and then did the rest of my time there on the factory lines. So, met some pretty interesting people along the way. Finished my 12 months there and realised I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm pretty keen to get back into study. So
where'd you go?
I went to Deakin, moved to Geelong, did a double degree, commerce and law. I've got 2 years into the law component and realised, actually, I don't think I really want to do law anymore. Finished off my degree doing commerce and majored in economics and finance.
Very good.
And what was your first job once you graduated?
Other than working the whole time through at Woolies, which I did, my first big job outside of Woolies has actually been here. So I started as a project manager with Cabinets by Computer in 2015. So coming up 10 years for me now here.
You're now considered a long-termer.
I am, yeah. I'm hoping for the gold watch this year.
So given and we'll come to the nature of the business in a minute, but it's obviously software development. Yep. So how do you make that transition from stepping out of uni into here? How did that all happen? Yeah,
the business has changed a really lot since its inception. So Cabinets by Computer, the founder, Gary, he launched it early 2000s. He's a cabinet maker by trade, so owned joineries around the Geelong region. Was always very leading edge sort of a thinker, Gary, and really had probably some inherent problems with the software solutions that were around at the time. It was all about automation and making manufacturing easier and all that sort of thing. How can we tweak this to get a little bit more out of it? And just lack of solutions around that meant that, a bit of frustration. So we got out of the joinery game, and along the way got involved with the company who basically made that software. So although Gary will say he's not a software developer, he does a lot of, kind of development work around building cabinet products and libraries and methodologies. Doesn't do anything around specific application building, but, that's kind of the bones of where the business started. So, early 2000s, it was all about really a service-driven business where we're providing libraries and cabinet structures to companies who had other software. And then that kind of migrated over the years into also developing a product. So we brought on board a partnership with a local guy who used to develop systems for fuel stations. So he was quite successful. He'd gone into retirement, and Gary had met him through Pony Club and got chatting to his wife, and Jan said to Gary, "Oh, yeah, my husband's a developer." And Gary said, "I'm looking for a developer because I want to, I've got these libraries I've created. I want my own software that can power them and I can sell to clients." So it all sort of started there for us, moving from just being service driven to actually creating our own products. So it was sort of around the 2007-ish kind of time. Fast forward another 5 years from that, and we started to get into the online space with our products. And that was, again, with another partnership of a Geelong company who was really big in creating software for the glass industry in Germany, mostly, I think it was from memory. And so they helped us build a bit of a web platform. Basically, it all come about because one of our clients who was using our cabinet production software come to us and said, "I want to do more manufacturing for my clients who are giving me, I want." And when we talk about his clients, they're other cabinet makers, right? So this guy's a cabinet maker. He's got a facility. He's got machinery. He's then getting people come to him who are also cabinet makers that doesn't have that machinery, right? And so he was saying, "I want to do these jobs for these people, but for me to take on that responsibility of using my software, detailing an order, producing it, cutting it, sending it out, it's too time consuming. I'm not making enough money off these jobs. So how can we, streamline this process?" And being all about automation, I think the natural progression there was we need to do this online. Give end customers a portal that they can place an order online, and we can convert that through into code for a machine to cut. So, yeah, the business transition then, we've had a lot of iterations where we sort of outsourced all our development. We work with companies in Geelong in New Zealand, and then 2020, I think it was, late 2019, we made that decision that, we really need full control over this, and that's when we started building out our internal development team, which now brings us to the point where we are just a fully fledged software development company.
So if I'm a joiner out there, why should I use your software? What's the advantage of doing that?
So I'd probably look at that from two angles, right? So you could be a joiner who has their own facility, a factory, CNC machine, and I would say to you, come and talk to us, because there's a high chance that CNC you've invested a couple $100,000 in is sitting in your factory and cutting, 2 days a week, because you're busy during the other time going out to site, seeing your clients, and you're not feeding enough work to it. So
quoting and installing and all that.
Correct.
Sort of, yes.
And so I would say to you, well, come to us and we can help you digitize your business, take you online, and give you a platform that you can do that work on the side, but you've also got an avenue where people can find you online, jump into your platform and place an order for custom cabinetry, and out the other side it's 5 minutes of work for you to process that. So that's one reason I'd say, Bill, for you to come and talk to me. The other angle would be if you're a joiner or a cabinet maker or a chippy or whatever it may be who wants cabinets but doesn't have the facilities to make it themselves. And I'd tell you to come to us and we could connect you up with one of our partners in our network that use our software that can manufacture for you. So, yeah.
So from picking up the digital side, so a cabinet maker, having been down that sort of path with a has-built, they tend to come out, measure the walls. If they're not plumbed, they've got to make sure that's all taken. So do you work with them to be able to put those measurements digitally into something so then it's uploaded, writing it down on a piece of paper and then going, was that a 6 or a 7?
Yeah, to an extent. There's a couple of different solutions in our stable that does that. So we have a 3D design program, which is kind of a design and sales tool. So that's probably more perfect for that scenario of someone who's going on site, doing site measure. And then the other side of that is our online ordering platform, which is really more specification driven. So it's not so much about the room, but more the individual products that are in it. So we've got a cabinet with 3 drawers in it. I need this. I've already done the design and I need that at 720 high by 600 wide. Okay. So at the moment, our online ordering platform is very sort of catalog driven. So here's a product, customize it, add it to cart, get a price, check out. And then further downstream, it's turning those specifications into G code for a machine to cut out.
Because I have to be careful what I mention here, but family of ours went into one of these large hardware stores to get a kitchen.
Yep.
And someone came out to do the measurements. So you can do it yourself or someone comes out. Someone came out and measured it. When the kitchen landed, didn't fit. So then it became a debate, who was at fault? Was they at fault because they hadn't measured it correctly? Was the person who came out and measured it? Like there was a whole gamut. And then they started to blame the manufacturing process and said, they've manufactured it to the wrong specs. It was quite interesting of that. So because your software is only as good as the data that's put into it at the end of the
100%. Day. And our platform is really positioned as a B2B platform. So although we do naturally see, people that think, the weekend warriors that have watched the block or whatever, and they think that they're kitchen designers and can install and all
easily.
that,
yep.
Which there's a lot of seriously capable people out there that can do it. But also on the other angle of this is, a cabinet maker has gone through their trade, they've done their apprenticeship, they understand design and specifications and all that. And so, yes, it's ultimately only good as the data that goes in the first place. But our challenge then on the other side of that is how do we make it simple. So that these mistakes don't happen.
Justin, we're sitting out here in the idyllic surrounds. How many people have you got employed here?
Yeah, so we've got 35 on our team, I think. It could be 36. I don't know. We've had a big influx of new team members this year, which has been really exciting. I think we've put on 10 new employees year
and
to
they
date.
Don't all work on premise here.
No,
so
we've got.
You want to describe your methodology about how people interact, your employees?
For sure. So, we have about 10 of our team are entirely remote, and the other 25-ish, half the time in office, half the time work from home. So, yeah, I mean, that brings about its own challenges, I think, having a somewhat separated or siloed team. But we do a serious amount of work around engagement with our team. We run a couple of times a week, we do an all-in company stand-up huddle, which people that are remote join in online. We have, behind me right now, I've got a 85-inch screen that...
I was about to say, that's the biggest TV screen I've seen.
We can go bigger. So our remote team will all join in online for that, and all our people that are in office that day will jump into our boardroom, our meeting room, and the stand-up huddle for us is a chance to connect with each other. And, we now have sort of 6 different departments, and reflecting back on sort of the journey where the business has come from, it was 4 people in a shed.
We're still in a shed.
Yeah.
That's just
somewhat.
a very nice shed.
And we all sort of, everyone did everything. And that was always my goal and vision, that as a company would grow and mature to the level that we would have, 5 or 6 departments where people specialised and did really well. And I think that growth brings its own challenges as, you work towards having these almost silos, but then needing to have that interconnectedness between them all so that we can operate efficiently and effectively. So we've got lots of things that we do to achieve that. The daily stand-up, it's not entirely daily, but we do it 2 or 3 times a week, is a really integral part of that. And at a surface level, what that looks like is each member gets a chance to say, what was my highs from yesterday? So highs are any positive thing or thing that they were proud of doing. What was their low? So, just as much as celebrating the good things that happened, we want to know if, they have had a bit of a crappy day, or, a particular customer has been a pain in the backside for them. Or they're just, for our dev team, they're in the middle of a bug they just can't resolve. So, I think the lows or the challenges are just as important as knowing what the highs are. And then the final component of that is what do you got on for the day? So at a surface level, it looks like we're just trying to see what our people are doing. But at a bigger sort of macro level, what we're doing is we're promoting and encouraging an atmosphere and a team environment of sharing and communication.
Mark, that brings us to our previous podcast, where we had a discussion about culture and what is culture, what does it mean? So, and it's become very much a generic word somewhat. So I've got a 2-part question. The first one is, what do you believe is the culture of your business and what does it mean? And as Mark knows, my next question is, if we went and interviewed your staff and asked them about your leadership style, what response would you think we get?
So we'll start with the first one. Yeah. What does culture mean to me, or what's the culture of the business? Culture to me, and I heard this once and it really resonated with me, is that no matter every business has a culture, right? It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. There's nothing you can do to escape the fact that your business will have a culture. What you can do is you can encourage and do initiatives and support your team in a way to make that positive. What I would say our culture is one of being very open with each other. We promote a very flat structure for leadership rather than being hierarchical. And obviously there's a time and a place for a manager needing to step up and make a decision. But it's very much built around open door policy, that everyone's opinion carries equal weighting as the next. And really driving that open communication. We like to have fun. We like to be really passionate about what we do, and I think that reflects on our people and the type of team that we've built. And we hold on to our team. We have very low churn, which I think is also reflective of the type of culture that,
especially in software.
We found early on that being really hard to attract talent when we were smaller. But now, as we're bigger and growing, we're able to do more initiatives around supporting our team, around having a really nice environment that people enjoy coming to. And although we have a hybrid work policy, we find a lot of our team that work in office just come in most days anyway because they want to be around their colleagues. And that's, for me, the way I sort of measure it.
And your management style?
Management style. I've got my own perception of that.
You notice they're always trying to avoid the question.
I waffled on too long about the last one. I've got my own perception of what my management style is, but what do my people think of it?
Or what do you think?
I like to think that I position myself as being very approachable to the team. This isn't out of any textbook, but over the course of years of working for people and managers, I know what I have liked from a manager, and I know what's driven me, and I've tried to reflect that in how I manage people, and I've kind of built my own playbook on management, and I've got a little acronym which is called the TRAM. So you've got to be all aboard the tram, or else you're not doing the right thing. But TRAM basically stands for trust and transparency, and that's built around a culture of sharing. So when there's big business decisions to be made, or you're looking to divert down a certain path, is not holding on to that as a leader, being open about that and sharing with your team and getting feedback and carrying it from there. And that emanates in it for us. Our monthly meeting that we do company-wide, we share all our sales number and data with our team. Like every single person here knows how our sales are tracking and where we're performing and where we're not. And I think that's really important into them buying into the vision, but also understanding their impact on what we are doing.
That point about sharing information is really important. In fact, I just did a video recently about sharing information, because so many businesses that you go to, Mark, and I go to, is particularly if they're family owned, everything's a secret.
Yeah.
Now, what I say to business owners is, well, they know anyway, because whether you think they know or don't know, they do know.
Yep.
So be open, share it, share the primary numbers, and then everybody, you talk about, there's the old thing about everyone on the bus, but the bus has got to have a destination, 100%. And they've all got to go to that one destination.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you started here, how many people?
4.
Yeah. So what's helped you on your journey? Where have you got your connections and your mentoring, and how have you developed as a person over the time?
Yeah, well, I think on reflection, I was extremely green coming into it, relatively fresh out of uni, and I walked into a project manager role that I was definitely underqualified for. But I think a big part of it has been having the freedom to, and Gary, the founder of the business, has been really incredible in, giving me the keys to the car and say, off you go, we'll hope to see you at the other end. And so for me, and as I changed from being a project manager into more of a sales BDM kind of role, and then took over GM as the business in sort of 2020, 21. But yeah, just having that like unrelenting faith that I can make decisions, I can fail, and it's not really going to matter. Well, it is, but not having that weighing over my head. But outside of that as well, I think also having a real passion for learning and growing, and talking to people, listening to. I don't read a lot personally, but I listen to a lot of audiobooks across all sorts of topics, from body language to habitual stuff, sales and marketing, and at the moment I'm onto an audiobook it's called The Next Conversation, which is how to deal with tough conversations that might come up. So yeah, for me, I have a real thirst for we're here now, but how do we get that little bit better? And another saying that I really like is, there's a few different variations of this: you're either green and growing or brown and dying. And for me, what does that mean? It means, well, we don't stop. You're continually looking for the incremental, marginal improvements and gains. And I try to put that back to our team as well. And that's one thing that we do in every Friday in our daily stand-ups. We talk about 1%ers, and 1%ers are all about the incremental marginal gains, because it can be really hard to make big impact and big changes on big things. But if we can distill that down and look at really small things, small changes, if we're constantly looking at ways that we can improve a little something over here, a little something over there, then, it compounds, and you get, it comes from the Atomic Habits.
Well, looking at all these trophies on here, you went through the process with the awards and putting your submissions in, having the site visits. In fact, I remember the site visit I did out here with Tony Spence from Jayco, Ballerine, Gary had this biggest caravan I've ever seen sitting out in the yard, and all he wanted to do was drag Tony Spence from Jayco out to show him his caravan. Right? I'm not sure why whether that influenced Tony's marks or not, but that's what it was. But so, what did you learn out of entering and winning those business awards?
More than anything, we learnt as a business that having a point of reflection is so important. And we probably weren't doing that enough. And that's really what I think one of the best things that comes out of doing a submission and entry into the Business Excellence Awards is you are forced to stop for a moment, put your stuff to the side and actually look at what you have done in the last 12 months or 3 years. And for us, we use that as an opportunity to really pick apart a few key things successes that we had in that year, and then loop that back to the team and remind them, hey guys, we've got our heads down, we're working incredibly hard and doing all these amazing things, but 12 months ago we were here, we were nowhere near where we are at the moment. So I think that alone is, and it's a bit late now to advocate for people to enter the awards, but next year that is one of the key reasons. Yeah.
And how involves Gary?
Now, pretty hands off. His leadership style has always been he understands his weaknesses and where he's not good at, and his approach is let's put people on to do that. And that's been another great thing that I've had the ability to is never be afraid to hire someone. If you can't do it, and or should you be doing it? Probably not. Then put someone in there to take that off your plate to free you up. Do you
sit with him and run through the figures occasionally?
Yeah, we chat. They're out on the road a lot now in their van, but we catch up monthly. We catch up for a lot of calls about football ad hoc. He's him and his wife Liz are very much enjoying taking the foot off the pedal a bit while they coast around.
Which is good, which allows you to just run the business.
It's really like I said, I'm super lucky in that regard that I've been able to direct this business down a pathway without, being worried about, am I making the right call? Do I need to loop this first through Gary? And it's empowered us to be incredibly nimble.
Well, that probably answers the question when I asked about leadership, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And 5 years' time, where do you see Cabinets by Computer?
We'll have divisions in America and the UK by then. That's our plan.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good.
So the big part of that is driven by our online ordering platform. It far accounts for, sort of 80% of what we do now. And there's a real demand and need for that in other markets. We're not finished growing yet here and had an incredible last couple of years. So we're really gearing ourselves up for international expansion in the next sort of 3 to 5 years.
Fantastic.
Just one final question for me is you are now a judge on those very same business awards.
Yep.
And you've been through the first day of reading entries. What have you learned?
I've learned that Geelong is seriously punching above its weight in terms of the businesses that we have here, the initiatives that they're powering. It's incredible. I personally, I love the Geelong region. I think we've got a great spot. But to see that backed up with businesses that are doing incredible things that, not just locally, but nationally and globally, it's really exciting.
Yeah. So, Justin, thank you. That was really, really enjoyable and great business. And if cabinet makers end up listening to this, how do they find you?
So there's a couple of different ways. If you need to outsource your cabinetry manufacturing, go to gocabinets.com.au. It's a bit like Airbnb, but for cabinets. We connect you up with someone in your area who can make your cabinets. If you've got a factory and you've got a CNC machine sitting idle, we'd love to help you get that cutting more. If that's the case, go to cabinetryonline.co.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Thank you, Justin.